Welcome to. Okay, you know what? Okay, now I'm really confused because I don't know. Should we call this also Zaki Pramanda show or should we call this informed casual? Now that we are speaking English.
I would say the informed casual would sound
I
nice.
don't know. I don't think I have it all figured out yet.
I mean, it's the first episode.
Well, whatever. It's my show anyway. I'm joking. I have it all figured out. Welcome back. Welcome back to the first episode of Informed Casual, where the only difference between Informed Casual and Zaki Pramanda show is that we are using English as our main language. And it's not a perfect English. It's not like your typical native English that you would hear from the internet and whatever. It's just we are having fun, right? Just using English. So, who is my co-host for today?
So, hello everyone. I mean, if you haven't watched the first episode, I'm Bobby. It's not my real name, but people call me that. So yeah, let's roll with it.
Yes, and his nickname is Bobby No Nose Raihan. Yes, that is his name. I just made it like 5 minutes ago. Okay, so what is the difference? I've already said the difference between informed casual and Zaki Pramanda. Perhaps the right question right now is why did we make this podcast in the first place? Why not just stick with the Zaki Pramanda show? Do you have an idea about that? Oh yeah, I'm actually the host. If you don't know, because it's attached to my name. Well, not that we're actually saying that the name is informed casual. Okay, but the reason why we make this series where we instead use English as our main language in speaking this podcast is because, first of all, I just thought that it would be fun and cool, right? Because nowadays, with how ubiquitous English has been as a language, you just want to start expressing yourself, and having a podcast is one of the outlet for being able to do that. And second of all, I have been in an environment where even though mostly the people around me are supportive, the environment that I lived in isn't really one that encouraged me to speak English. Like it would still feel very weird for me to just speak English all of a sudden, right? So I want to create a safe space. So whoever is interested in speaking English, whoever thinks that they have what it takes, or they want to have what it takes, they want to learn about things, they want to learn how to speak English, then they can do that, and they won't have to feel embarrassed about it because literally this is the only point of having this podcast. The entire gimmick is that you have to speak English, right? So what do you think about it? Do you think that is a good idea, or am I just flaunting? Or we are actually just flaunting our...
No, I mean, we're English literature.
Yes,
students,
obviously.
right?
We are English literature students.
And I don't mean to brag. I don't mean to mention it in a bragging way or something like that. But we should be fluent, right? And I think this is a great way for us to practice. Basically speaking to one another, and because we don't really use that much English
Yes.
in our daily basis, so I think this is a very good outlet, and I also think that this is a very cool and unique form to use our English. Like people, not meaning to
Yes, of course.
offend anybody, right? But people usually write poems, they write stories and stuff like that. But have you ever heard of people actually making podcasts to express their interest in the English language, right? I mean, yeah, I think it's a unique way, and I think there's really not that much out there. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's done by like very, very young students, very impressionable young students, because we're still like on our fourth semester, right? We're still in our fourth semester. So it just goes to show that making a podcast, you don't really need to have like that much in your disposal. You just have to have a passion in it, I guess, right? Okay, so the thing is, I have been in a speaking class before, and even in speaking class, usually you would speak Bahasa Indonesia, right? Even in speaking class in English literature of all major, you're still using Bahasa Indonesia unless you are actually presenting. One of the teacher who taught me speaking class actually said, you know what, you don't have to feel embarrassed to speak English. You can speak English all the time in campus with your friends. You don't have to think about maybe other people will perceive it as you're just being bragging, right? You're just bragging, you're just being cocky and whatever. And that is a nice advice. I'm not trying to say that it's not a good advice. That's all the more power to you if you're able to be that confident. However, I am not that confident, you know. And no matter how good that advice is, for me, campus is still not really the most ideal environment for you to speak English just because there's just no reason for it. Like, yes, if me and Bobby were to just go to campus and just starts deciding, you know what, let's just speak English. Sure, that's no problem, right? But why, right? Like why? Like we can just talk Indonesia. So that's why I feel like there needs to be a better outlet for us if you really want to learn English, if you really want to speak English, because this podcast we don't really make script about it. Like we discuss about what we want to talk about, but most of these are impromptu, and that's the reason why sometimes maybe you see us stutter a bit and like trying to find the correct words because this is a real-time English application, right? You don't have script, you don't memorize anything, you just speak and hope to God that whatever comes out in your mouth is actually coherent enough for the viewers to learn.
Yeah. Also, back to your previous point, right? In speaking class, I actually agree with the teacher. Like, I mean, everyone should agree with that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
As English literature students, we shouldn't be afraid or we shouldn't be shy. But the thing is, because no one else is because no one else is do it. Like, why would we do it?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If we speak English, then other people would not reply in English. They would reply in Indonesian, and so like, why would
now
we do
now
that?
you look like the douchebag for having
Yeah.
speaking English, right? Because sometimes I would especially when I just got to Brawijaya, I was very confused whenever I come to a class. Do I ask in English or do I ask in Indonesian? Because sometimes the teacher talk in Indonesian, sometimes they talk in English. So that sort of things is what I'm talking about. In campus, it isn't really ideal because you don't know what other people are thinking, right? Sometimes they just want to go straight to the point and have us talk with our native language, but sometimes they also don't mind because, again, we are English literature. That's the inside point of us being that major. Also, I don't really think of this. Yes, this is certainly a good outlet for us, but it's not really an achievement. Like, we're not doing something groundbreaking here, don't get me wrong, because English isn't mainly learned only by English literature students, right? Like I've seen a lot of people from mathematics. I don't know if mathematics is a faculty, but people who learn mathematics, especially in business, all of these terms and jargons and whatever, I'm sure they consume probably even more English than us on a daily basis. So what we are doing right now is just show that yes, I may not speak the most perfect English, but here I am, an English literature student, trying to
Yeah.
prove my worth and whatever.
Right. I mean, you don't really have to go too far. You know.
Yeah.
I think there are if so. FYI, there are nine. I think nine current majors in our faculty, and I'm pretty sure students from other major can speak as well as, or at the very least, have an understanding of English that is not really that far off from
100%.
English literature student. And I think this is like this podcast is something that we want to use to basically set us apart. You know, like sure they can understand English,
But
they
can you do this podcast?
yeah, I mean, not to brag.
Yeah.
Okay, not to brag, but yeah, that's all the more reason for us English literature students to try harder and harder, right?
Yeah.
Because English is a worldwide language, everyone knows it. Okay, at least you can understand it.
Yeah, so that's why as an English literature students we have to compete because again, using English as a main language isn't really our own forte. Like we aren't really gatekeeping English anytime soon. So we have to compete with it. We have to show that yes, English literature can also do it too. And to sort of come back with how I said that English is quite prevalent in nowadays society, is quite ubiquitous. I have like been to a random mall. I think like I went to MOG, I think. And then I just went to buy clothes and whatever, me and my mom. And then I see like this parent with their kids, and they're talking in English. If this were 10 years ago, people would go, oh my God, what is happening? But now I saw that and I was impressed, don't get me wrong, because it's like a toddler and you're already saying, Mommy, I want that one, you know? It's really impressive, but at the same time, I'm also thinking, that's normal, right? Because we have just lived in an era where everything is interconnected, so speaking English is for me at least is quite a must, you know. So if there is a way that you can express yourself using English, then by any means do it. So uh, I want everyone here who is watching who maybe want to test themselves, let's go. Just hit us our email, right? And then we'll have you as our guest star for today, and we'll talk in English. You will talk whatever, right?
True. And that's interesting actually because you mentioned toddlers can speak English
Yeah.
fluently, right? Now, I have a question actually because I don't really know this, but when did you start to be fluent, or at the very least, start talking in English? You know.
It's actually a really interesting idea because I never really thought that I would be into English because I'm just not interested into it. But I'm the only younger brother of two, so it's only me and my older brother. Me and my brother is like 3 years apart. And when I was really, really young, like I haven't gone to school yet, I don't think I can even speak my own language fluently. My brother is already the one who is a tech guy. So he likes to mess with laptops and computers and whatnot. So usually people who do those sort of things, they are also gamers. And back then, games there's only like what Dota and then CS:GO and whatever. So it's like a really limited options. So naturally, I just saw whatever my brother is playing, and then I would like naturally absorb everything, you know. And the funny part is, back then, games weren't as accessible as they are now. So there are only like a few handful of games, and obviously all of those games are going to be using English and and their main language. No games at around our age would be released in Indonesia, like not a single one. So if you want to beat the game, if you want to actually enjoy the game, you sort of have to learn English in the process. So that's one of the things why I like English is because I wasn't forced to study it. I didn't really study English through like the conventional way, like going to courses and whatnot, learning A, B, C, D. No, I don't do that. I just play games and then I naturally absorb the subtitles. Like for example, they would put on really high vocabularies like pick the dagger up. I didn't know what a dagger was. But then I see, oh, the dagger is like a small knife. Oh, so dagger is a small knife. That's how you learn new vocabulary. That's how you learn new words. And I think that's more enjoyable that way, right?
Yeah. Kitty brain working really well, I see. And okay, well, for me, it's the exact opposite because.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You said that you learned English the informal way, did naturally. Well, no, I actually went to an international elementary school where we use Cambridge as our, well, basically as materials in our book and everything like that. Not the things that you learn in college, but the English that we use stems from there, which is, and it was really fast actually. It moved really fast. The process of our process of learning. I think at grade 4, I'm already much more proficient at it.
Yes.
If you rather than junior high schoolers at a public junior high school.
Junior high school.
Which is I think really awesome. You know.
Really awesome, man. It's international.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know how they teach very little kids that level of English, but I'm really really grateful that my father sent me there because my father thought in some way some way like you know he thought that English was important and he knew that English was going to be really important from the start So for him, my son has to be able to speak English. That's why he sent me and my brother to that elementary school.
I think both my mother and father, at least at the time, didn't really see like a specific importance in using English. Like we would just be enrolled in your typical schools, right? But then I think they just started seeing me really enjoying English through my own means, and that's actually one of the way I can play games as long as I wanted because I just kept telling them, "Yeah, I'm actually learning that." Like, and then like my dad is a very traditional person, so he doesn't know a thing about English. Like I'm not even joking, and it's not really an insult because he just tells it that honestly. And because back then I don't think they were taught English or at least like advanced English and whatever. So sometimes he would just, whenever I see a movie like anything, my father would just ask me, "Do you know what they're saying?" And I'm like, "Yes, that is." They literally just say, "Go to bed." Like, how do you not do that? So yeah, and I feel like you've said that you wonder how young, really young people are able to be taught English at such a young age. But for me, it's actually the opposite. It's actually easier for you to teach young people, not just English, but any skills in general, because they naturally absorb so many knowledge, right? Again, the only reason why I was able to speak English is because I've just been used to it. If I were to start learning English, like legit, like right now, I don't think I would be this proficient. It's like German. We've only learned German from high school, right? We've only learned German from high school, and even then, we didn't really talk that much. Most of it are just theories. And right now, I don't remember a single thing, right? Because we are already old. We already have a lot of other things to worry about. So it's harder for me to learn German or Japanese or other languages. But if I were to grow in a German school when I was little, I'm sure I can just speak fluent German right now. It's one of the things. You know how they say. It's, for me, my comeuppance in learning English is because I have to understand how to beat the game in order to actually. I have to learn English in order to beat the game, right? It's the same thing with chef. That's why you see a lot of this chef de cuisine and whatever. They can also speak French because most of the art of culinary are in French. So that's the same thing with English.
Oh, nice to know. Actually, I didn't know that many culinary terms come from French.
Bro, yeah. It's like sous chef, chef de cuisine.
Oh, okay, that's cool. And we do have a French major in our faculty.
Yes, we do have a French major. I really want to learn French.
Yeah, thinking about it, it's a very interesting language.
Yeah, it's like Gaspard de la Nuit, like that. I really want.
This sounds so fancy.
That sounds so fancy, and it just means like lamb.
Okay. Oh yeah, and FYI, Zaki mentioned before that we learn German in high school, and that's because we're in the same high school.
Yes, we're actually in the same high school, guys. Can you believe it?
Yeah. And actually, here's an interesting fact. Okay, we were in the same junior high school.
Yes, but I didn't know him at that time.
Backstory on that after this.
Yeah.
And then we were also in the same high school, and this time we're on the same class as well.
We were in the same high school, in the same class,
Yep.
and then we went to the same major on the same class on the first
on the first semester.
Yes, and now we are also in the same class. Well, mostly.
Yeah, that's why we're here right now.
Yeah, that's why we're
mainly
here.
because we know each other. We know each other for quite a
that's
long
also why I picked of all people Muhammad Zaki Raihan, Bobby knows Raihan, as my first co-host is because first of all, he is the only one that I've approached to who is comfortable enough to speak English in front of a camera. Not everyone can do that, and hey, I'm not judging. But the other reason is also because, again, as what you've already said, we have known each other for a long time. And let me tell you the backstory for the junior high school. So I was actually originally from Palu in this private high school called SMP Al Azhar Palu. Really good school. It was too good for me even. So my scores were quite low there. And then I had to move because there was like a massive earthquake which happened in like 2017, I think. I forgot. And I had to move because literally everything was in ruin. So I had to move prematurely. I was supposed to move to Malang when after I graduated junior high school, but I had to move here when I was in ninth grade, first semester ninth grade. So I was in an awkward position because when you're already in ninth grade, you pretty much already know everyone. You already have your own friend circles and whatever. And here I am, a stranger just barging in a class where everyone already knew each other. It was hard for me to make friends. That's why I didn't know him, but he knew me because everyone at that time have like this rumor, hey, there's a new guy, there's a new guy. Like, so yeah, he knew about me. I think he even knew my name, but I didn't even know he existed. The reason why I know he actually went to the same junior high school as me is because, so we unknowingly at this point we still didn't know each other. I went to SMA 7 for our senior high school, and we were in the same class. He was like in front of me. And you know how it is in Indonesia, usually the uniforms, right, the uniforms for in high schools, they are made not in advance, so they're only ready after a few weeks. So for the first few weeks you are still wearing junior high school uniforms, right? And then I see this guy and then, why is he wearing the same uniform as me? I don't know him, right? And he definitely don't know me. So the teacher started asking with the both of us, like, do you know each other? Oh, you came from the same school. And I have no idea who this guy is. And apparently his name is also Zaki. So yeah, that was a really nice coincidence, you know. And then we didn't really hang out that much until the pandemic. And even then, it was purely coincidence. So during pandemic, would you mind telling us?
Yeah, so basically, I think it didn't start off even when the pandemic started. We didn't
Yeah.
just go. We didn't like instantly hit each other up or
Hit
anything
each
like
other
that.
up.
But it was, I don't know. It was one day. It was morning at that time, and there was a certain task that we had to do, where I decided to like, hey, do you want to do this together? And he agreed, and because we both had Discord at the time, we did it together, communicating through Discord, and that's where things kind of started. I think because the first session was pretty fun, we decided to do it again, and then do it again, and again, and again, and it got to the point that we did it every single day. It even became a daily basis of ours. Basically, I would start off my morning, he would start off his morning, and then there would be our teachers would send tasks for us to do, and then we'd be like, hey, let's go. And it's not even let's go. It's like DC, and then he'd be like, hey, and then 5 minutes later we'd be in the DC doing the same task, and this is also very beneficial for us at the time because we did it really fast. You know, even though the deadlines are like
Weeks away.
or a few days away, we'd finish everything on the first day. Even I remember we did a
paper.
paper.
A paper.
We actually made a paper.
Yes.
In a single day,
Yes.
which is
Crazy.
Crazy.
Very crazy. You guys know how long it would usually take to make paper, and then we did it in one day.
because and at the same time we did it whilst communicating through DC while inside a DC room
Yeah.
for I don't know for hours. We did it until nighttime and I don't know. It was just a crazy experience, and yeah, every day was like that for the entirety of the pandemic, basically, and that's how we knew each other. And let me continue to college as well. For college, the system for the first semester, and I don't know if other faculties do this as well, but for our faculty and for our major, they split the class depending on how you get in, basically. So there's 3 ways that you can get in Indonesia to college in Indonesia. First is through an exam, which is, by the way, how me and Zaki did it.
Got enrolled to.
And then there's also the grade system, where if you got good grades, then they'd automatically accept you. And then there's also where you pay, basically.
Yeah, where you pay and still do the test. So
Yeah, and you still have to be good enough with grades to get in. And yeah, basically we are in the same class because of that system. And then yeah, well, the rest is history.
yeah, the rest is history. You know what? It's been nice talking to you, and I think we should just end it right now. It's quite short, you know, like it's really a short episode. But for the first episode, informed casual, we just want to talk about how things came to be. You know, maybe in the next episode we can talk so much more because you don't know how hard it is to talk about this in English, right? Okay, so I think this is just our end, right? Okay, where can they find you on Instagram, Bob?
So everyone, you can find me on Instagram with the account name Zaki Raihan.
Okay, at Zaki Pramanda _ on Instagram. Thank you very much, everyone. Hope you guys.
Bye.
Bye.